I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like on a missional aspect, there are very few, and it's sad. There are very few filmmakers who have stayed on the mission wagon because of the disinterest that the church has to support media.
It just seems like the first wave of people who want to innovate are always going to get mowed down.
Today, October 22, is a very significant day in the history of our beginnings.
Do you want me to introduce myself or?
Yeah, introduce yourself to people.
Okay. My name is Tanya Musgrave, and I am a filmmaker, photographer, and as of right now, I am creative director of a small nonprofit media company based out of Idaho.
Awesome. So what is this Good to Go Media? Tell me, what do you do every day as creative director?
It varies. There is no normal day. So to give you some background on the company, basically, our boss, he does community development. He does affordable housing around the country. And, he had his run out of the church. It's not a run in, I guess. He had his moment of, agnosticism. And when he came back to the church, having not lived the best particular life, he really kind of wanted to rectify that. And so now he is investing in a lot of these nonprofits. He has started a foundation called 5 Loaves, where you basically have an incubator for 5 nonprofits. So that might include Idaho Anti-Trafficking, which just graduated out of our program. It might also include People of Peru Project, a deafblind school in India and Bangladesh, or a hungry student fund for college students who are having a hard time making ends meet. There would be food available, that kind of thing. So one of the things that he really wanted was in a nonprofit media company where he could invest in projects that he wanted to invest in and support the Adventist filmmakers out there, not necessarily Adventist, but just support good media, particularly media that inspires the impulse of love. That was his motto. He's like, I want whatever we show to inspire people to get off the couch and get out from behind the computer and actually go and do something.
Wow. So you show up at work in the morning, you park in your designated parking spot near the front, and you get your coffee or whatever it is. So what do you do? Who do you manage? What's kind of your mission?
So a lot of what we do is working with contractors. We've made a couple of things in-house. So I was able to shoot in Peru as well as Haiti. There are going to be projects coming up in Thailand as well as Ethiopia, but really it varies. It varies because the amount of our boss doesn't like to be put into a box. And so if there's a project that comes along that he feels inspires that impulse of love, then he's going to do it. So for instance, the one in Thailand is telling the story of a male human trafficker. Or as of late, it's been a lot of collab media event planning. So
yes. Let's talk about Collab.
Okay.
What is it?
Okay. So one of the things that was put on his heart was helping to educate in any way that he could. For instance, he's involved with a lot of nonprofits. A lot of nonprofits were coming to him and asking questions. So he's just like, okay, I'm going to make a boot camp where they can come and they can learn about the finances. They can learn about the legal side of things, or how to apply for a 501c3, that kind of thing. And then he started thinking about, well, what about all the other instances? What about all of the other genres that, people might want to learn something, particularly with like, I don't know, real estate or food or, like nonprofits, that was definitely a thing. But just being able to kind of start an incubator of sorts that could foster education in a way that some of our particular universities may have missed. You can't cover everything in education. I understand that. But for particularly in media, that was something that was big on my heart, because in general, I did some not big interviews. I had some long conversations with alumni who were fresh out of college all the way up until 10 years out, like they're all still struggling about the same exact thing. It's marketing, it's legal, it's fundraising and financing their film. It's like, it's all of those kinds of nuts and bolts. They know how to make a movie, but they now need to know how to market it, or they need the money to do it. And, there was nobody to kind of say, okay, you need to go find these kinds of people. You need to go find these kinds of people. And this is the way that you power network with them. And these are the events that you need to go to find those people, like that kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay. So this Collab Film and Media Conference, which is happening September 8th and 9th in Redlands, right?
Yes.
So I just want to make sure I get this, because if anyone here is listening and maybe they are interested, or maybe they have cousins or aunts, or, Adventist connected, right? So if you're interested in this is really interesting to me, because our church just launched a YouTube channel. So learning how to do this has just been watching a lot of YouTube tutorials and stuff like that. So, and you can find a ton of stuff on how to do transitions and LUTs and blah, 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 blah.
Very, very production based.
Yes. But there's like nothing, nothing about the legality of things. You usually just wait until YouTube flags you for something. And then you're trying to, but you don't, like, how do you?
And then you Google how to get around it. Just just copy and paste this into an email and send it to them.
Right. But I
which
mean,
is exactly what I've done before, because there's like, but it's educational content, which it was. And so it's like, I can very much use my own film on this. Like, please.
Yeah. All right, Google, are you listening? Okay. Stop wasting Tanya's time. Okay, so if you're a filmmaker and you're like, I get the production part of this, but just the financing, the legal side of this, distribution side of this is what this Collab conference is all about, right?
Yes. So basically, we wanted to provide an opportunity for networking and for education, where you can learn about financing your project, about legal guidelines to protect your content and distributing your content. And right now, I mean, like, a lot of us are kind of in the phase where we've heard kind of the top of the top. And you can go to NAB, you can go to any of these kinds of conferences, like especially there in LA. And this stuff is pretty much available on a nightly basis to go and hear from some of your heroes. However, they're not accessible.
Right.
They're not accessible to ask the questions necessarily, or to actually help you in any way, or like give a workshop, or like that kind of thing. And so like we wanted to provide that opportunity, particularly for our Adventist filmmakers or Adventist media, people in media and TV and what have you, in order to just at the very least come together for a community. Because right now what's happening is and it's just a fact. There's not a lot of support in our church for this.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot of people being hired to do this kind of thing. And there aren't a lot of people who are actually being trusted to do their job when it comes to this. And so really what's happening is there are a lot of individual endeavors going on separate from the church, as are many things like missions. The church used to be huge in the mission field. Send out their, like my parents being some of them, like they were there for 6 years, that kind of thing. But now you have like independent things like AFM or, what have you. And that's exactly what's happening now, where there are a lot of little tiny teeny endeavors in all the corners of the country. I have probably 10 friends right now who are wanting to start their own company, and they have a slate and they have all of this, but they have no money and they have no way of distributing it after they actually make it, if they do. Like we're all like just like trying to pull together at this point. So basically what this particular event is for is to try to help foster that, try to help foster the networking, to bring people into maybe not necessarily as unified as an endeavor, but maybe there are some ways that like this group of people can help this group of people over here. We don't know, but we are bringing more industry professionals in to come and help. To teach some of that stuff, for instance, Louise Levison, who wrote the book of filmmakers and financing. I mean, she taught at UCLA for forever on this, and for her, it's business plans and marketing and that kind of thing. That's her deal. And there are other people who are the entertainment lawyers, and they specialize in film development or production as well as talent management. But then there are also people who actually do have projects on Netflix, and no, it might not be like the tip top project. It might not have been, like, I don't know, what have you, like House of Cards or something like that, but they are on Netflix, and Netflix is extremely like exclusive. You have to know somebody who knows somebody in Netflix. Like you can't just say, hey, I'm going to go have a meeting with Netflix. You have to go through an agent who already has an existing relationship with Netflix. So you know what I mean? It's all very, very exclusive in that realm.
Right.
So,
So networking is just key, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
networking is key. And I mean, look, if I could just add my voice to yours on this one, if you're listening to this and you're super rich and you've just been sitting there wondering what to do with your money, call Tanya. Okay. She'll give you some good ideas. And two, I mean, more to the point here about the church kind of struggling to figure out how modern visual media fits in their program. This is a serious thing. And what I really appreciate is that this church, the Adventist Church, has a long history of young people seeing a need and just doing it. And that's how you change things. I mean, if you're waiting to go through like 35 committees, I mean, I think there's a lot of horror stories out there of that kind of approach. A lot of things die in committees. Okay. And it's hard. It's hard for people. How do I put this nicely? It's hard for people whose job it is to keep the machine going, to want to start pulling out gears and sprockets and tinkering with how to make it better. And I'm not saying that, I don't have anyone in mind when I say that. Okay. It's hard. Okay. It's a big church. It's hard to move it. And so to me, what gets me excited about what you're doing is this is a way of energizing people who are going to make the kind of changes that need to be made.
And I do kind of have to piggyback on that. This one thing that he's wanting to do, which is he's putting his money where his mouth is. Also part of this event is a pitch competition. So a pitch competition is going to be part of this event for the very reason of supporting those filmmakers.
Cool.
That's why he wants
baseball, like baseball pitching.
Yep. You get up on stage and then you chuck them at each judge, and if you hit them, then they have to give you money.
So you can get $20,000 from hitting a judge. No. Tell us, what do you mean by pitching? What?
So a pitch, where, for instance, if you have an idea and you have fleshed it out and you're just like, you know what, I have a business plan. I have a way that I would distribute this. It's far past the napkin stage. I am ready to move forward on this, but I just don't have the funds for it. He's wanting to give those people and those artists the opportunity to move forward with their dream, basically. And so their pitch competition, the deadline to so you can submit a pitch where, you know, you have your pitch deck, you have your business plan, etc. That's all due August 1. And we'll pick 6 finalists. And those 6 finalists will go on to present at the event. And the top 3 will be awarded. First place will be $20,000. Second place will be $10,000. And third place will be $5,000. But it's to help fund that content creation, the media startups, or any other media related endeavors that people might have. So, you know, there are other podcasters. I think Burn the Haystack, they want to pitch, you know, there are other people that have their film ideas that they want to pitch. There's an animation company. I'm pretty sure that they're trying to get off the ground. And I don't know if they're going to pitch for their company or if they're going to pitch for their, like a specific project. I'm not sure yet, but you know, like it's an opportunity that people have that I've got to be thinking, man, you've got to be crazy to pass this up.
Yeah.
At least, I mean, it's there, it's money, it's, you know, it's an opportunity. So I don't know.
Okay. So what would you tell somebody who might be listening right now thinking, hey, I'm really interested in Collab. I want to go. I have some ideas, but I am so nervous about pitching. Like, could you encourage that person right now?
I can tell you that if you are nervous about this, so is everyone else. And you know what? Nobody else knows what they're doing. Nobody else knows. I mean, I promise you, like I got a pitch deck the other day and it was beautiful. It was amazing, but they didn't have any financial breakdown. You know, so it's just kind of like, all right, well, you know, I sent it back to them. It's like, hey, you know, by the way, you might want to include some of your plans to do this. And, you know, and of course they're artists. I'm not expecting, I am expecting that. Hold on. Yeah. I'm not expecting to get pitches until July 31 at like 11:59.
Right.
But at the same time, like I completely understand where you're coming from, but let me tell you right now, the pool is extremely small at this moment, as in there aren't very many pitches. So you have a very good chance because I mean, again, this is a very, very new event. Not a lot of people know about it. That's why we're trying to get the word out. But right now, I mean, you have full opportunity to take advantage of this. So, I mean, I don't know. I know that you might be nervous, but you know, you can also email me and, you know, introduce yourself. And, you know, like if you have any questions about the pitch event, you can contact me. It's Tanya, Tanya, at goodtogomedia.org and ask me. I'm an open book.
Yeah. And let me tell you, if you're sitting there and you're in that situation, like just take a chance for your dream, man. Just take a chance for your. I mean, the worst thing that's going to happen is you won't be one of the 6 who get to do this. Okay. And then it's like no shame there. Right. Because, and if you do get up on there, I mean, you could have $20,000 or $10,000, whatever, toward this dream. And if you get that, you're probably going to be like, wow, 2-3 months ago, I never thought I would even get this far. Like get your thing off of paper. And if you feel that strongly about it, if you're that excited about this idea, then
it's worth it.
Yeah, it's worth it. Yeah. Like, go do this thing. I mean, come on, you only live once, guys.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You only live once. So just go do it, man. And then you can tell everyone in your TED talk 5 years later, you know, of how you summoned up the courage to do this. Because you heard Tanya in a podcast. All right, make sure you give her credit. So we got this Collab conference is coming up. It's just a couple months away, September 8th. Why is this important? I mean, you know, we're gonna have a lot of people who are listening be like, yeah, I think this is cool. I'm not really into film or visual media myself, but like, why is this important to young people? Why is this important to the church that people should pay attention to this and develop?
Or why should it be?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
You know, I'm probably one of the few, unfortunately. I mean, the film sphere is pretty small. You know, the film and media Adventist circle is small right now because it's very new still to our church. You know, I still remember when I graduated or even when I came into the film department there at Southern, I had seniors who knew, I think they were 3 years, 4 years, maybe away from the very, very beginning of the program, like the beginning of the program, the start of it. And even now I'm starting into the new master's program. They have a cinema, religion, and worldview master's there at Walla Walla. And I think I'm part of the third cohort. So it's very, very new. And so since it's very small, I can probably speak for a lot of people who have gone through these kinds of programs. And, the workers and the laborers are few. That's all I got to say. I mean, it's very sad to see it's sad to see such good talent not stick with the church because of all of the hoops and yo-yos that they have to deal with. And, I feel like for me personally, like I can totally 100% jump on the idea that what we're doing is missional. This isn't playing around. This isn't just playing Hollywood or glitz and glam. If you think about how many people watched Hacksaw Ridge and saw the story of faith of Desmond Doss, this is the kind of thing we're talking about. Why are we not spending all of our money towards, as much as that we would spend money on printing, all of these publications that go out to just Adventists, or, trying to get people to sell books door to door. People don't read books at nearly as much as they used to, like even 10, 20 years ago. They don't read that often. And if they do, it's like, it's on their app, it's on their phone. And for me, it's incredibly frustrating. Like, why are we not putting so much effort towards visual media in order for it to be an impactful thing? Like, for instance, I know a friend of mine who was just like, you know what, we need more examples of strong families in media. Or even examples of strong families. I don't even think they were talking about media. And I think she was actually talking to like a psychiatrist, and, like a good example of family, because she had been going through her own ghosts and her own skeletons in the closet of like all that she had to deal with her family. But at the same time, she knew that there was a better thing out there. And, she was asking the psychiatrist, and she was like pouring out her heart, like what would be needed to change this idea of a broken family in our society? And he's like, seriously, it would have to be something as impactful as like a TV show, like a nationally syndicated, trendy or what have you. It needs to be like it needs to be something as readily available as a television show. Why are we not having series on Netflix? Like that's where all the eyeballs are. Why do we not have people on IGTV? And like, why do we not have people on Facebook Live and on their shows on Watch? Like you have so many platforms and so little of us are on there. And so you're just like, okay, missionally, why are we not doing this? Like, this is where all the people are, and this is where all the eyeballs are looking. So why are we not having people in front right there, like pointing to a better way?
Yeah.
You think about, cause I watch Friends. And so there are multiple episodes in Friends where one of the characters starts smoking and all of the rest of the characters are revolted by it. Just like, oh, I can't believe you're smoking. Like, oh, that's so disgusting. And, to have something, and that was like, I don't know, I want to say mid-season, not mid-season, like mid-series. So these people already know and love these characters and stuff, and they're following their life and they're rooting for them. And to have one of your favorite characters, like do something that is, like bad for your health, and then actually have the other characters that you also look up to, actually react accordingly, then, you can bet that had an actual effect on what people's views were on smoking.
Yeah. Along with what you're saying here, I just read this article today. A friend sent it to me. It is an Adventist woman in Ghana Her name is Ellen White.
Oh, okay.
Anyways, she's on TV there. She's on TV there. I think she does some cooking shows or something. Anyways, she announced today on Instagram that she was no longer attending the Seventh-day Adventist Church in Ghana because they were upset that she wears earrings on television.
Oh, lands.
And it's like, this is just so heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah. I mean, the concern of wearing earrings, it just seems like 100 steps removed from the conversation we're trying to have about being on TV or movies or whatever it may be. You know what I mean? Like, if we can't get over that little thing, how in the world are we going to have a conversation as adults about how best to use visual media?
I mean, it was already kind of heartbreaking, like through the Record Keeper. Like I was on set for some of that because I did some on-set photography, and the conversations that had happened. I mean, because not everybody on that crew was Adventist at all.
Right.
You had a representative from the GC who was there, that they would constantly ask, like, hey, is this okay if he says 7 instead of the number 12, or, that kind of thing. And he was also an ordained minister, I'm pretty sure. And so and as well as another one who he's one of our faculty at PUC, and also had done religious studies. And so, you have these two very, very well-versed religious leaders who are also who also happen to have the talent of filmmaking, or at least writing. He was one of the writers. They're on set all the time. And then you have a cohort of people who are not Adventists who are asking, all right, why in the world are we not shooting tonight? And it's like Friday, that kind of thing. And so, you have the opportunity to talk about the Sabbath, and they're just like, what in the world? I have no idea, except for the fact that, like, man, they really like that break. And some of the conversations that they had, especially like things coming up on the script, like, hey, what is this? Oh yeah, they're talking about the flood, or, and there was like one of the women that was on that set. I think she was one of the actresses. Not Adventist, not anything, but she was going to have an angel themed party to kind of celebrate, like a wrap party. That happens at the end of shooting, and all the cast and crew, they get together and they have a party for being able to finish. And this was something that she had organized on her own, like completely separate, and it happened to be on a Friday night. And the powers that be found out and thought that the Record Keeper was throwing the party on Friday night, and, like this kind of stuff. Or that the Geeky Awards, they found out that the Geeky Awards were happening, and that they were being given an award on Friday night. Well, I mean, that's kind of like, that's heresy. No, you can't have that happen on Friday night. And like, you think about the audience and who's there, like, they don't know. So it was very frustrating to watch, to see some really, really good conversations happening. And when it all got pulled, seeing comments underneath and like, what happened? We were so proud of this project, because, like, seriously, no steampunk media had been made. Like, not only had our church miraculously jumped 2 decades ahead of where they were, but they had also jumped a decade ahead of steampunk media in general. Like, there wasn't a lot of it at all. And so, like, people were extremely excited about it. It was an outreach. It was never meant to be an inreach, but it was actually working, and then have it go to pot, and it's heartbreaking to see those conversations that could have been happening. And it's just like, oh, it's because of their really, conservative church. That's why it's got pulled. And then you'd of course get all the comments below, just be like, oh, this is why I'm not in organized religion anymore. This is why I'm so glad I left my church. I'm so glad, you know what I mean? It's just, well, and it also confirms the views of the grumpy Adventists who say, see, he never was really in anyway. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm on a soapbox now.
No, I want you to stay on that soapbox, because I have one final big question for you.
Yeah.
And I want you to dream a little bit while you share this answer. And that is, what is your vision for visual media in Adventism? Like, if you could just wave your magic wand, I mean, within reason, obviously, what would you like to see the church do? What would you like to see young filmmakers, students, aspiring creators? Like, how would you like to see this work?
I would love to see the church support and hire artists, and then also trust them to do their job. I want so badly for them to be able to collaborate, because, I understand there needs to be more collaboration between like all the generations, because, you get the young bucks, and we have all the dreams, and, what have you. And, but there are good things about tradition, like God is the same yesterday and today. Like there are some things that the church has not gotten wrong. I understand that. However, when it comes to how the current trends are going, and what's trending right now, how would you know? You would ask a young person. So why would you not trust a young person to connect to that particular audience? And what I would love to see is a lot more collaboration between all the different endeavors. So not necessarily having one unified production company, but to have a network that students could be plugged into as soon as they graduate. So, you have a place to go if you want to do mission media, or if you want to do documentaries, or if you want to do feature films or family films or what have you, you have a way to go. And, I don't know, like, for instance, the Mormon Church has done an incredible job at doing this. They have BYU TV that's out of Brigham Young. And, they have Studio C that was born out of that. And Studio C, I mean, if you've seen any of the Scott Sterling stuff, they got millions and millions and millions of views, and they're relatable. They're hilarious. They're very, very clean SNL kind of thing. And, they're Mormon,
Yeah.
Like, why can't we be the humans that have this mission there where the people are, and meeting them exactly the way that Jesus did? And so I don't know, like, for me and my dream, it would be for us to actually utilize media for the resource it is, in order to push forward, like, it is the mission of the church. Like, if we are Christians, and especially if we are Adventists, we definitely have, like, Adventist, like we have a mission, like we know what the Great Commission was. And to me, I feel like we're not being good stewards of what we've been given, not in our talents, not in our money, if we're not utilizing what could be done.
Yeah.
Like, am I going to print this pamphlet that's going to be littering the streets later? Or am I going to put up an IGTV episode and have like 50,000 views on it? You know what I mean? Like, there's something to be said about using our resources wisely. And I don't know, like, that's my dream.
Yeah. So it would be great. I mean, we have these schools of evangelism or whatever that have been around for a little bit, and they'll teach you how to go door to door and preach, and the essentials of doctrine. I mean, wouldn't it be cool if teaching people how to use visual media was part of our training?
That'd be incredible. It'd be absolutely incredible, because you don't know how many pastors have approached me saying, like, hey, I want to do a video. I think it'd be great to put it on YouTube, and, on the tube, on the interwebs, like on the online. I want to put it on the internet. And, in a lot of ways, like, if it exists, we're doing good. If it exists on the online, then we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's so many, like, social media influencers out there that are, like, getting eyeballs, and they're teaching stuff on how to get eyeballs, how to get more of them. And so I don't know.
Anyway. But look, and to be fair, there's some positive signs out there my conference where I pastor has set up a studio in their church in the conference office.
Nice.
Pastors are encouraged. It has a single camera setup, but it's got a nice backdrop and like 11 lights. And pastors are encouraged to come use it whenever they want to use it. I know Iowa, Missouri has the same thing at Sunnydale Academy. You can go use. They have a huge room in like this old woodworking warehouse where they used to teach like shop and stuff.
And it's so accessible these days too. Yeah. Like all the equipment, all of the stuff needed. I mean, like if you have an internet connection, seriously, if you have a smartphone, seriously, like it's so accessible right now. Like I'm trying to think of how all of our founders of our church would go nuts right now with all of the stuff at their fingertips. I want to know what their marketing strategy would be because guaranteed they would be using visual media.
Yeah. So. Oh, most definitely they would. I just, hold on. You're making me visualize like the Ellen White YouTube channel. Anywho, but I mean, I know in Australia they have Waymaker, which is kind of like their Christian Netflix, their Adventist Netflix thing going on there, which is really cool. So I mean, there's some promising signs, but yes, but it's usually some kind of local initiative that's producing these things, and that's good. I mean, I'm happy for that, and it needs to continue. So there's some good signs out there, but we definitely need to press forward. I mean, we're going to talk later with the professor who wrote her dissertation on Adventists in television and movies and things like that. So we're going to keep talking
from a historical aspect. We're going to
have that conversation soon, and you're going to see. I mean, Adventists have always been keen to use advertising methods that were contemporary and that worked. And, I mean, goodness, we had all this net evangelism, right, in the 90s.
And, the whole net 98.
Yeah. Okay, I will never forget Dwight Nelson with a mustache. We love you, Dwight. But okay, that was cutting edge at that time. Okay, there's no YouTube. There's nothing that most of us could possibly do to get on TV or to, so that people could watch us. But we did these net meetings, and now the 2000s rolled along. And the 2010s have come, and they're almost over. And it's almost like we haven't really adapted very well in the last 20 years. Like since like Net 98, we haven't really caught up.
Yeah.
And we have a long tradition of having caught up. It's just the last 20 years, we've been trying to figure it out. So.
Well, to be fair, it does move extremely fast. And so that's one reason why I feel like, it is to be said that, there has been some effort. However, the effort is always a lot more slow. And I think that if there was more collaboration between the generations, it would help.
Yeah.
It would help because, they would know how to reach these audiences, and, we need to be able to trust our young people and work with them in order to move that mission forward.
Yeah. Well, let me give just a quick little shout out to my church, because some of my members may be listening, and I just want them to know how much I love them, because our board, which is mostly people who are over 45, they have authorized our YouTube channel with a lot of fun original content. We're even going to have some videos coming out of me gaming. It's like a pastor's gaming thing.
Nice.
But I really just so appreciate them, because they put trust in me, even though many of them are never going to watch this or maybe completely understand it, even if they do watch it. Of course, many of them will, and they'll get it and they'll laugh and they'll have fun. But some of them won't, and yet they trusted. So they trusted me to do this, to launch this thing, and so I'm kind of a testimonial. Please trust your young people. I mean, don't stop praying for them and guiding them and helping them. I mean, we all have crazy ideas, and some of my videos are probably not going to work, and some in hindsight probably should have done differently. But just trust them, and when somebody slips up, keep trusting them, keep encouraging them. Right? We need each other in this. So if you're an older member listening, I mean, look at that young person. Just sit them down sometime and be like, "What dreams do you have for this church? What would you do? What kind of ministry would you do in visual media?
What would you do differently?" Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so
Yeah.
start those
You
conversations.
can almost, yeah. Sorry, I'm over talking you.
Go.
No, I know you can almost guarantee that they would have almost an immediate, well, not necessarily an immediate solution, but an immediate suggestion. Like an idea would come to mind on what would need to be done.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yep.
yeah, for sure.
Yep. So listen, if somebody here they're in, they get it. How do they get signed up to Collab? How do they get to go? What do they need to do?
So you go to goodtogomedia.org, and one of the first things that pops up is a huge banner just for Collab. And if you are listening to this podcast, you actually get a discount. The Adventist History Podcast discount code is AHP. And that is a 20% discount. And so right now, the submission fee for the pitch event is $75, but it's free with a ticket, which is $199.
All right, and you get 20% off with the code AHP. Perfect.
Yes.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you're interested, even if you just want to learn more, and maybe you yourself are not going to go, but you have young people in your church who may not be listening to this podcast right now, just go to goodtogomedia.org and go tell the young people in your church, hey, I heard about this thing on a podcast because I listen to podcasts and I'm cooler than you. But go check out this website. Go check out this website. This may be something you're interested in. Okay, so spread the word out, guys. Tanya, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy, creative day and
No, I really appreciate it.
You're awesome, and I appreciate your time.
No, I really appreciate the time that you've taken. I mean, like, I really wish that there were more. I mean, it's really great to see. It's great to see a pastor who is trying to do that, exactly doing the exact thing that we're talking about, like actually putting forth an effort to get where the ears and the eyes are, it's not easy. It's not easy, but I mean, no, it was really good talking.
Yeah. Trying is the operative word there, but I mean, that's what it is. Like, this is messy, guys. There's no blueprint for how to do this. Okay. It's not a science per se, and it's we got to blaze these trails. Okay. So get out your digital machetes and go through the woods. And boy, this is really taking a south turn right now. Anyway, Tanya, I want to thank you for spending some time with me. Dear listener, thank you so much for listening. And we are going to see you guys next time. Stay tuned for that interview we have with Dr. Linnell Ellis that is coming up in just a few weeks. And you're going to love that. We're going to go through the history of Adventism and visual media. You're going to learn something. You're going to love it. And I'll see you next time.